Friends, once again you all are heartily welcome to a new, mysterious, and exciting story. So let's begin. The story begins with a century-old fear. Exactly 100 years ago, when the world was still intoxicated with science and civilization, suddenly something happened that no one could have imagined. The earth burst, and monsters came out from within it. These monsters were not ordinary. Suddenly, a thunderous voice filled the air. It spread throughout the area. All surviving citizens, please immediately enter the safe fortress. This is block number 54. Attention, no citizen should go anywhere except alone. And especially, do not wander around those 9 mysterious houses that have recently appeared from the inside. Those 9 houses, if one falls into them, one goes straight into the secret lairs of the underground beasts. Returning from there is impossible. At that moment the air had become heavy. Here was this girl trembling. Her lips had dried up. Her eyes were wandering around like a frightened deer. One of the boys standing behind said in a hushed voice, "Brother wants to play with you. It is a matter of good fortune for you. And you dare to run away." There was neither humanity nor shame in his words. Only arrogance, and the power he felt by considering himself superior to other humans. "You should be proud to be with us, because brother is very kind." Then another one came to the forefront. There was no kindness in his eyes, only contempt. "Hey, are you a prostitute?" he said, as if he were talking to an object. "You have only 2 choices. Either let us play with you now, or jump into that ditch yourself." The girl took a step back. There was a deep ditch behind him, and a crowd of wolves in front of him. The girl's breathing was getting faster. There was fear in her eyes, but she said in a trembling voice, "You're crazy. You attack your own classmates, silence witnesses, and now you want me to betray Goddess Lin. Never. You'll never touch me." Whereas his words were as full of fear as of hatred, the man standing in front of her smiled now, a murderous smile. "So, you know about me. A lot. It means that leaving you alive now is not safe for me." He took a step closer. There was a cruel confidence on his face now, as if he thought of himself as God. But Lin will be mine. She will marry me just like I say. Her brother is in prison, and now she has no choice." Then he came closer to the girl and said in a low voice, "Forget Lin, just a good girl. Let me have my fun. Maybe I can save you from falling into this abyss." Now the girl had reached the edge of the ditch. Her heels were shaking on the ground, and a stream of tears was flowing silently from her eyes. All courage now hung on a thin thread. Just then a small stone touches her foot, and she rolls down and falls into the ditch. There is silence for a moment. Click, click, ek. A sound like bones rubbing against metal floats in the air. That sound was so unnatural that it seemed as if the earth had buried something awake beneath it. Lines of fear appear on the faces of the boys standing in front. What kind of sound was that?" said one. But the question remains incomplete because the very next moment a heavy, black shadow rises up from the ditch. A hand made of bones, adorned with sharp nails, slowly comes up. Then the other. And then the whole figure. Cause a demonic creature stood in front, and its whole body smelled of death. "Oh my God! This is a B-class bone beast. How is this possible?" The experienced fighter decides immediately. "This beast can tear apart awake humans. Everyone save your lives, run." And then he orders everyone to run with a hand gesture. The monster had not even stood up completely when the man, in fear, used the girl as his shield. His hands were shaking, but his tongue was active, crossing all limits of wickedness. He shouted, "No, don't eat me! Look, this is a girl. Her skin is soft, her meat will be fresh, it will taste even better than my meat." But the monster's red eyes were searching for something else. He didn't even look at the girl. His eyes were fixed directly on the man, and there was a depth in them, as if the meanness of humans had become unbearable even for him. Then, there was silence for a moment. And the next moment there was an explosion. The monster attacked with such force with its bony, black arms that the entire body of the man above the shoulders was blown away in one stroke. A stream of blood splattered in the air, and the half-burnt body fell to the ground with a thud, as if the earth had swallowed the pride. The silence broke. The rest of the boys, who were pretending to be strong before, had now become animals to save their lives. "Run! Master is dead." One of them tremblingly took out his phone. His hands were shaking so much that he couldn't even touch the screen properly. Still he screamed, "There is a monster here! Someone help us! We will die!" Everyone was running to save their lives. As if the thread of life was tied to their feet, screams, falling and crushing steps, dusty air, and then tak, tak. She goes, a huge, bony foot of the monster fell on the ground, and a man was completely crushed under it. The bones of the body screamed as if in unison. A fountain of blood fell into the soil. The rest of the people held their breath on seeing that scene. But the monster did not stop here. Dosiers he pounced and caught another man, the one who had pulled out the phone, in his bony hands. Six for a moment, that man kept swinging in the air, thrashing, pleading. But there was no mercy in the monster's eyes, crushed Shatak. As his hands crushed her as if she were a toy, pieces of blood and flesh scattered in the air. Half the girl's courage failed after seeing all this. As far her knees hit the ground, tears in her eyes, no words on her lips, as if every emotion had frozen. She sat there like a statue of fear and shock. She knew this was no ordinary creature. Now it was her turn. The monster headed straight for her, blood still dripping from its long, spiny claws. Its red eyes stared into the girl's eyes, and its tongue hung out like a dead animal's. The girl trembled. No words came out of her lips, but tears flowed from her eyes. For a moment, she surrendered herself, as if there was no fight left. "If I must die, at least I will die with my honor," she mumbled. Better to die at the hands of a monster than at the hands of those beasts called humans. But then something strange happened. The monster stood still for a moment. It looked at the girl from head to toe. And then, it turned around. The monster took a great leap and disappeared in the blink of an eye, as if carried away by some inner command or emotion. Lusha, the girl, sat on the ground, breathless. Mind numbed Aksha, she looked around her, corpses, blood, silence. And she was the only one left alive. A broken sound escaped her lips. Tough. Why didn't he kill me? As the monster took a long leap and crossed the building, jumping over it. As after he left, the atmosphere of the school suddenly changed. Inside, an enraged principal slammed his hand on the table and shouted, "Bastard! How did my son die in school? How is that possible?" His voice was full of anger and his face showed helplessness. "How did you maintain the security of the school? How weak was the security at the place where my son was killed?" As the principal's questions silenced the entire room. As then, the two security officers who stood in front of him began to answer in a mixture of fear and helplessness. "Principal, our underground monitors did not detect any monsters climbing into the abyss," one officer said without pausing. His voice was an attempt to give a concrete answer, but his eyes clearly said that he himself was surprised by the incident. "The scholar, the bone-faced beast, must have entered from outside," he said, but there was no conviction in his words either. The principal turned back and stared at the officers and said, "So you are saying that the monster was hiding in the walls of the trench and came out from there and killed my son?" I see his voice was calm now, but the volcano hidden in it could explode any moment. What nonsense is this? He took a step forward. His eyes were as angry as burnt ashes. Bone-faced animals are even less intelligent than birds. They can't even climb a wall, and you are saying that he hid. He took a deep breath, then swung his hand forcefully in the air, as if he was killing and throwing his anger into the air. Oxef, I don't care whether it is a human or a monster. Whoever is guilty, he will have to pay the price for it. He stopped and his eyes had turned red. On this peak, standing alone, was Lin Yuan, the hero of our story, his face cold, but his eyes looked more dangerous than a storm. Just then, there was a tremor in the air, and a huge demon leapt out and landed beside him. Its breathing was heavy, its body covered in blood, but as it bowed in front of Yuan, its voice was reverent and relaxed. "Ex-master, I'm back." Another demon came from behind and stood with his head bowed. Yuan said in a calm voice, "Number one, you still smell blood. It might make us pay more attention than necessary." He paused, then took a deep breath and said, "You two go back to beast space now." He took out a glowing card from inside his coat. As soon as he opened it, both demons vanished into it like smoke. He stared at the card in silence for a few moments, then a faint smile appeared on his lips. A cold, extremely dangerous smile. Wang Kai, he muttered to himself, "You put me in prison, took away my world. Now I will kick you out of that world. Forever. Now we're on equal terms, but I bet you never thought that the demon who killed you came on my orders. Sir, in a desolate world filled with demons, where every day is a new battle to survive, Lin Yuan emerges as a unique hero. Where others flee from demons, Lin Yuan catches them. He doesn't defeat them, he tames them. His trump card is the Just Demon Capture System, a mysterious and powerful technique that only he possesses. The demons in his cards obey him, protect him, and, when necessary, destroy their enemies. Then our hero, Lin Yuan, coldly commands his number 3 demon take him back to prison. The demon steps forward without question and lifts Lin Yuan onto his huge, strong shoulders. The next moment he takes a giant leap, carrying him back to prison. A B-class bone-faced beast, the most dangerous demon I've ever tamed, he thinks. Now I have three demons that can wipe out any ability user, even the first awakened ones. As they enter the prison boundaries, the giant slowly bends down and takes Lin Yuan off his shoulder. Silence falls all around. Lin Yuan takes a few steps forward, then stops and takes out a special card from his pocket, his trump card. "Come back," he says calmly. And in no time, the giant is engulfed in a glowing light and trapped in the card. Lin Yuan stands there silently for a while. His eyes look at the high walls of the prison. My biggest priority now is this, he thinks to himself, fester that I can get out of this prison legally, without any suspicion, without any stain. Saying this, he slowly starts walking towards the prison. Turning around, he tosses the trump card in his hand into the air and says, I leave the rest to you." The card spins through the air, and as it falls to the ground, a heavy vibration is felt. And then, a horrifying groan resounds. A shadow slides down the dark corridor of the prison. A giant, black fungus-covered female monster. Her 6 eyes are red, and her breath is as hot as burning coals.